All right, and we are back here on the GSMC Football Podcast. And for the fourth part of the show, we are going to talk about Marvin Harrison Jr.'s monster performance on Sunday against the Rams. And let's get into that. We'll pull up the stats I have from that game with the graphic. So, obviously, he had a quiet debut. And Kyler Murray made some interesting comments after the game about how we talked about in the production meeting that he misspoke, and that's probably what ended up happening, but it just came off as something completely different. Like, yeah, it's not my job to get him the ball. Well, but you're the quarterback. You throw the ball to him. How else is he supposed to get the ball if you don't throw it to him? Unless you want to, have him, carry the ball out of the backfield. But yeah, Kyler Murray got him the ball. Kyler Murray got him the ball, and he had a monster performance, as you see the stats here, after last week where he only had one reception for 4 yards. He went off in this game. He went off in the first quarter. Most of his yards came in the first quarter. So the Rams started off the game. They turned it over on downs. They went for it on fourth down, I believe. Yeah, they went for it on 4th and 2 from the Cardinals' 41, and they didn't get it. And then the Cardinals went 6 plays, 60 yards, and Murray connected with, who also had a good game as well. Wanted to mention that. He connected with Marvin Harrison Jr. for 23 yards. That was a great pitch and catch. Then the Rams punted. Cardinals answered with a touchdown. Marvin Harrison Jr.'s second touchdown of the game for 60 yards, and that was the only play of that drive. Rams punted again, and then the Cardinals went 8 plays. 13 plays, 99 yards, 8.5 minutes of time of possession down the field. And Kyler made a great play, was able to scramble out and find Higgins, Elijah Higgins, for, I believe, an 18-yard touchdown. Elijah Higgins, the tight end, from 18 yards out. So that made it 21-0. This game just completely unraveled for the Rams very quickly in an eye blink. On top of that, Cooper Kupp got hurt in this game, had to leave with the ankle injury. He was in a walking boot, and he's supposedly going to miss an extended period of time, which we talked about earlier this week. So we'll keep an eye on that. The Rams did get on the board, though, in the second quarter. They scored a field goal, 7 plays, 59 yards. And Cardi, from 29 yards out, kicked the field goal. So, yeah, that made it 21-3. Cardinals answered with a field goal. Both teams punted. Rams turned it over on downs. It was 24-3 at the half. Cardinals opened up the third quarter with a touchdown drive. James Conner from 5 yards out made it 31-3. Rams then punted. Cardinals kicked another field goal to make it 34-3. However, the Rams did put together a touchdown drive to make it 34-10. Kyren Williams from 4 yards out. However, the Cardinals did answer with another touchdown drive. James Conner fumbled, which would have been great for another touchdown for me in fantasy. Him and Jacobs both fumbled at the goal line. So I could have had, a lot more points. It was recovered by Trey McBride for a touchdown. So that made it 41-10, and that was basically it. Clayton Tune came in the game. Both teams actually exchanged fumbles in the fourth quarter. But, it didn't amount to anything. Yeah, Cardinals win big, 41-10. And for Kyler Murray, he went 17-21, 266 yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. The Cardinals as a team ran for 231 yards. James Conner had the rushing touchdown, continues to be a beast. 21 carries for 122 yards. Kyler Murray had 5 for 59. He had a 26-yard run. Amari DiMercado had a big run in this game for 41 yards. He had 2 carries for 46 yards in total. Trey Benson, their rookie running back, had 11 carries for 10 yards. Marvin Harrison Jr., of course, you see the stats there. 4 receptions for 130 yards and 2 touchdowns. Trey McBride, 6 for 67. Michael Wilson, 2 for 31. Clayton Tune was the one that lost the fumble. Collier had a fumble recovery. The Cardinals' defense had 5 sacks in this game. Matthew Stafford had a rough game. 19-27, 216 yards. The Rams only ran the ball for 53 yards. Kyron Williams had 25 yards on the ground. Blake Corum actually was their leading rusher. He had 28 yards on the ground. Demarcus Robinson was their leading receiver, 2 receptions for 50 yards. Tutu Atwell was 3 for 48. Cooper Kupp had 4 for 37. Kyron Williams had 4 for 27. But, yeah, it's just not a good game. Not a good game for the Rams. And this season for the Rams is going to spiral out of control. And I talked about this earlier in the week. They are dealing with a ton of injuries right now. So now you're down your top 2 receivers. No Cooper Kupp, no Puka Nacua. You're already missing Tyler Higbee. He's recovering from the ACL injury from last year. But you're missing offensive lineman Joe Noteboom. He was placed on IR. You're missing Connor McDermott. KT Leveston. I hope that's how you pronounce it. Darius Williams, who they brought in for the secondary, he's out. They're missing a ton of guys. A lot of these guys are being placed on IR. And this season is going to slip away from the Rams because I don't think they're going to be able to overcome these injuries. And I worry about Stafford because, a lot of the offensive line is banged up. You're missing your top 2 weapons. You're going to get hurt with the lack of protection. And now you got to play the 49ers. Who are coming in, they want to win after that loss that they just had to the Vikings. Although, now they're missing Deebo Samuel along with Christian McCaffrey, so they're a little bit vulnerable. But the Rams are more vulnerable, and I had this team making the wild card at 10-7. This looks like 2022 all over again for them. And at some point, it would not surprise me, and I don't want to see it happen, but we could be seeing another quarterback playing other than Matthew Stafford this year because he might get hurt. I worry about him behind that offensive line with no weapons. At least against the Lions, you had a lot of injuries, but to the offensive line. But you at least, I know Puka got hurt earlier in the game, but you had Cooper Kupp, and you could at least just dump it off to Cooper Kupp, and he makes plays. You don't have that right now. And you still got Kyron Williams, but teams are going to just, stuff the run and make Matthew Stafford try to, connect with Demarcus Robinson or Whittington and all these guys that, they aren't really threats at the receiver position. So it's a mess right now for the Rams. I said if any guy can overcome this, it's Sean McVay, because he is one of the best head coaches in the NFL, but there's just a ton of problems. And then you got a young defense as well that you're trying to, work through as well. It's just there's a lot going on for the Rams, and I don't think they're going to be able to overcome it. You got the 49ers. I think that's going to be a loss. So you're going to be 0-3. And then you continue on after that. Then you got to go to the Bears, who have a very good defense, but the offense has been struggling. That could be a game where Caleb Williams gets it going. Then you're home against the Packers. You got a bye week, so maybe after the bye, maybe you get some of these guys back. I don't know. Then you have the Raiders at home. You have the Vikings at home, at Seattle, home against the Dolphins. Late in the season, it's going to be tough because then you're home against the Eagles, at the Saints, home against the Bills, at the 49ers, at the Jets, home against the Cardinals, at the Seahawks. Yeah, there's a lot of losses in there. And there's a lot of losses now. So the Rams could finish with a very bad record if they don't get healthy and if they can't tread water. Could they tread water? Maybe. You still got Matthew Stafford. You still got Sean McVay. But Stafford's got nothing at his disposal right now. Or I should say nothing, but he doesn't have a lot. So, yeah, not looking good for the Rams right now. And we're going to talk about them in the next segment. And then as for the Cardinals, they look good. They look good. They should be 2-0. You could make that argument. They should be 2-0 right now. But they beat a team that has owned them for years. Let's be honest. The Rams have owned the Cardinals. Just like the 49ers have owned the Rams have owned the Cardinals in this division. Kyler Murray's been playing really well to start off the year. What are his stats right now? So right now he's got 4 touchdowns and no interceptions. James Conner has looked great to start off the year. The Cardinals as a team, these first 2 weeks, 759 yards of offense. So they've looked good. And they got to continue to build and improve. And, They take on the Lions at home. The Lions are coming off of that loss against the Bucs, so they're going to want to come out and play really well. But it's not going to be an easy game for the Lions. Cardinals are going to give them a tough time. But yeah, then they got the Commanders after that at home. I think they should win that. Then at the 49ers, they could win that. They could win that at the Packers. There's no games that I see here on this schedule where I think they have virtually no chance. They could be competitive in a lot of these games. So, we'll see. This definitely could be one with the Rams kind of. I almost said the Lambs. With the Rams, it seems like they're falling out of it. The Cardinals could be one of those teams that takes over one of those playoff spots. So, from me, because I had the Rams as the last wild card team. But yeah, very impressed by the Cardinals. For the Rams, it's bad luck right now for them. So hopefully, they can get these guys back faster. I mean, they haven't officially put Cooper Kupp on IR yet, but they did say he's going to miss an extended period of time. So I'm assuming they're going to do that. I'm surprised they haven't done that already. And I'm checking the sleeper app. Yeah, no, they still haven't done anything yet. So we'll have to keep an eye on that, but it's more likely than not that he's going to go on IR. So, but yeah, let me know what you guys think about this game. What were your takeaways from it? Like I said, the Cardinals, they will be taking on the Lions next week. And as for the Rams, they will be taking on the 49ers. So, two tough games coming up for those two teams. So, yeah, with that, we are going to take our final break of the show. And then when we come back, we will talk about all the 0-2 teams. We'll talk about them and, what team seasons are, on their way to being over and what teams are still not out of it. What teams are okay, even though they started off 0-2. So we're going to break down all the 0-2 teams when we come back, and I'll give you my my thoughts on all of them and who still has a chance and who doesn't. So, yeah, with that being said, for one final time today, stick around, and we'll be right back here on the GSMC Football Podcast.